This is Akashvani Bengaluru. Good evening and welcome to tonight's Yuvavani. In this episode of Yuvavani, as we usher into the months that will decide the future of our country for the next 5 years, we have students from St. Joseph's University, Bengaluru, giving us a refresher on the painstakingly created, nearly perfect election process in our country, thereby hoping to inspire us all to do our bit by casting our vote in the upcoming general elections.
Good evening, India. I am Simon Singh.
I'm Mahima.
I'm Ronaldo.
And I'm M. Gayatri. We are journalism students from St. Joseph's University. It's a very important and crucial few months that's coming up because we are on set to our next Lok Sabha elections. Lok Sabha, or the Indian general elections of 2024, will be here in the blink of an eye. It's important to know that the Lok Sabha is the lower house of the parliament and it's elected directly by the people through voting.
But how many people have been voting in our country? While many in our country are eligible to cast vote, few are enthusiastic about it. In 2019 Lok Sabha elections, the voter turnout was 67.11%, which is the highest turnout in the history of India. With every election, there has been a positive increase in voter turnout. Such an increase in voting is a positive welcome, as each and every vote counts for a better future of our country.
It has more than 94.5 crore vote as per Election Commission as per the final publication of electoral roll. As on January 1st, 2023, the total number of persons enrolled were 94 crore 50 lakh 25,694. According to a recent letter by EC to political parties, in 1951, India had 17.32 crore registered voters, which rose to 19.37 crore in 1957. In 2019, when the last Lok Sabha elections took place, India had 91.20 crore voters.
Over 96 crore people, including 47 crore women, are eligible to cast their vote in the upcoming Lok Sabha elections, for which more than 12 lakh polling booths would be set up across India. Over 1.73 crore of those eligible to vote are in the age group of 18 to 19 years old. Out of the total voters registered in the electoral rolls, nearly 18 lakh are persons with disabilities.
India is one of the largest democracies in the world. The notion government of the people, by the people, and for the people holds true only when the entire nation participates in the election process. In a true form of democracy, when all the citizens come together to decide the future of the country, and thereby their own. The right to vote gives the citizens of the country the power of exercise their franchise and decide collectively with a majority who they think is responsible enough to hold the highest office of nation and carry on the responsibilities that come along with it.
However, there's always been a disconnection between the voters and the election process. It has been observed that many voters do not take the election process seriously and do not understand the gravity of the power to vote and the responsibility that comes along with it. This is especially true in the case of the urban population, where the voting day is usually considered as just another holiday, since it is not made compulsory or mandatory for every citizen to vote. Elections enable voters to select leaders and to hold them accountable for their performance in office.
Yep, elections just like that provide political education for citizens and ensure the responsiveness of democratic governments to the will of the people. They also serve to legitimize the acts of those who wield power, a function that is performed to some extent even by elections that are non-competitive. The highest ever recorded voter turnout on the election day was approximately 66% in the 2014 elections. This is so far away from the ideal 100% voter turnout which is expected in a democracy. There have been many cases where voters do not even register to vote or enroll themselves in the voter list, thinking their single vote, but are quick to blame the government and give suggestions to improve the conditions.
Voting and taking part in the electoral process is more than a right. It's a responsibility that each citizen holds to select their leaders. So, what can we do to enroll new voters? How does one person of full age claim their right to vote? As for the registration process, before you even bring that up, the first step is using your franchise to register to vote. Periodically, the Election Commission organizes a drive to add eligible people to the voter rolls. In addition to this, people can also visit the voter registration centers in their area or register online through the National Voter Service Portal or the NVSP. One must present identification, evidence of age, proof of residence during the registration process, such as utility bills, a passport, or an Aadhaar card.
So, what's after the registration process? What happens then?
After you are done with your registration, it is very important to routinely check and update voter information after registering. Voters can check the location of their polling place, the information of the electoral roll, and the polling dates by using a variety of tools and services offered by the Election Commission.
These services can be accessed through SMS to pre-designated numbers, mobile apps, or the NVSP portal on the internet. On the actual election day, citizens can prevent inconsistencies by making sure that the information provided is correct and current. Voters should acquaint themselves with the voting process in advance of the election day to guarantee a seamless and trouble-free experience.
Every constituency has a polling place where voters can cast their ballots using their ballot papers or an electronic voting machine (EVM). According on the Election Commission institutions, poll workers assist voters during the process by confirming their identity, handing them ballots, and turning on electronic voting machines. But what's the big deal about this? It's not much of a difficulty, it seems very easy. Voting is a small but important act that determines how democracy develops.
So, once your identity has been confirmed at the polling place, move on to the assigned voting booth, and if you're using an EVM, press the button next to the candidate of your choice. Vote on paper by marking your selection with the offered tool and fold the paper according to the directions. Before leaving the booth, place your ballot in the appropriate box or check your voter on the EVM screen.
What about the fairness when voting? How do you know it can't be rigged?
That's a great question. I'm so glad you asked. So, maintaining the democratic values of accountability and transparency requires ensuring the fairness and integrity of the elections. To stop electoral fraud and to protect the integrity of the entire process, the Election Commission of India imposes a number of strict rules. To begin with, the EVMs are extensively utilized in India and feature several measures to deter fraud. Before the polling even starts, these machines go through a thorough testing process and are sealed tightly. Strict procedures are also followed for their storage and shipping.
I would also like to add to that, to supervise the conduct of elections, the Election Commission employs a wide range of officials, such as poll workers, observers, and security guards, in order to stop voter intimidation, booth capturing, and other election fraud. Polling places are constantly watched. To further guarantee fair play during elections, the Election Commission also implements a model code of conduct, which governs the behavior of candidates and political parties to preserve level playing fields. Any code infractions are dealt with the right way and are punished.
In addition, transparent vote counting is done in front of candidates and their representative throughout the post-election process. The results are then made public and open to public inspection. To sum it up for you in a short form, all things considered in the implementation of strict security protocols, strong supervision system, and transparent procedure guarantees that the Indian electoral process will always be free, fair, and unaffected by manipulation.
Though it seems like an endless sea of people are there to vote, every vote counts. When the national attitude changed from thinking, my vote doesn't make a difference, then the number increases and multitude of people voting will make the difference. The responsibility lies in every individual.
There's also a special vote other than the ones we do for political parties. It's called Nota. The Indian government has made it possible for voters to cast their ballots even if they are unsatisfied with any of the candidates. Nota stands for none of the above. Nota votes are counted, but if the majority of the votes are Nota, then the largest majority will be elected.
To shed more importance, we celebrate National Voters' Day. National Voters' Day in India is observed on January 25th each year. It was initiated to encourage more young voters to actively participate in the political process. This special day was first celebrated on January 25th, 2011, to mark the foundation day of the Election Commission of India, which plays a crucial role in organizing free and fair elections in the country. National Voters' Day serves as a reminder of the importance of voting and aims to educate and engage citizens in the electoral process.
Different nations have a robust voting system. In places like the US, system is a lot more flexible and advanced when compared to that of India. For instance, the US offers plenty of methods to cast a vote, such as voting at poll booths on poll day, absentee voting through mail, and early voting in person. On the other hand, in India, the only way to vote is by furnishing a valid voter ID, choose a candidate on the EVM, and get in. Also, scanning and counting of votes are done in more or less the same way in both countries. India and US both have autonomous election bodies, which take up the responsibility for hosting the elections.
In the case of the US, it has two federal bodies called the Federal Election Commission and US Election Assistance Commission, EAC. However, these entities don't have the liberty to exert control, as their role is mostly confined to setting up campaign finance regulations.
While voting may not be the only step needed to achieve positive change in our country, it's still a very necessary first step. That's all we have for today. Thank you so much for having us.
This is Simone.
Mahima,
Ronaldo.
And Gayatri signing off until next time.
This concludes tonight's Yuvavani. You were listening to the students of St. Joseph's University. They talked about voting being the single most powerful tool in a democracy like ours. This program was brought to you by Akashvani Bengaluru.